Our next speaker, Buddy Barry, is somebody that we all know because we always have folks that come back and join us here in Arkansas. He's a Kentuckian. He may not be a Razorback, but we'll forgive him for that. But we know that, for one thing, he's really passionate about learner-centered education. And so we're going to hear him speak a little bit this morning about his learner-centered education.
It's a tough follow with the two guys you just had. First of all, you all just heard from a professional, one of the greatest Razorback basketball players of all time. You're now going to get to hear from one of the slowest walk-on University of Kentucky football players of all time. So I am really proud of that. And so that was to test my sound. You can put that a little bit up too. I am from Eminence Schools, Eminence, Kentucky. I'm the school superintendent there. I've been there for a decade, 4 kids, 17 down to 7. And so it is an honor to be back in Arkansas. I had a great day yesterday. How many of you are on Twitter? On Twitter? Got Twitter folks? At Buddy Barry, 95% professional tweets. The other 5% of the time is when UK does something. Just to warn you, I'm going there. I know I'm in hog country down here. And then the other one is at Eminence Schools, 100% professional tweeting. Our motto is called the School on Fire, Framework of Innovation for Reinventing Education. And we're seeing tremendous results in Eminence. Many of you have heard of our story. Our story started with trying to define what it meant to have a diploma from Eminence. We wanted them to be world-class, well-rounded students, right? And so this morning, you've already gotten to hear about that intersection of best and next practice, which is exactly where we like to live. And so in our motto, not only did we want world-class, well-rounded students, but we wanted to be the Disney World of education. How do you make school so hard and yet so fun that kids don't want to go home at the end of the day? And so my keynote, for those of you who have heard it, and really what everything revolves around in Eminence, is 3 key elements. The first is surprise and delight. How do you make things better, awesome, crank it up to incredible, right? Like, how do you make the lessons fun and engaging, yet also being rigorous and hands-on, right? The other thing that we've kind of done is we've thought differently about the problems that we're presented with, right? Like, given the situation that we're in, how do you go and get a solution maybe that other people haven't tried before? How do you go out and think outside the box? How do you think like there is no box, right? But what they really wanted me to focus on today, since this isn't a keynote, it's more of a 15-minute TED Talk, right, is the third attribute that often gets overlooked at Eminence, and that is yes and thinking, right? Yes and thinking is refusing to accept no for anything. So like everything you hear here, everything that you see at this conference, everything you're going to experience for the next 2 days is possible back in your district. We've done 100% of the work at Eminence with 0 outside funding. No, we don't even have the money to bring in a guest speaker. Part of how I became a speaker is because I could not afford speakers. So I had to go out, learn it, and then bring it back to the staff, right? It's a district of 850. We're not necessarily like some huge metropolitan. Like when we got the stoplight, it did 2 things. It's made my time through town twice as long, and it ended cruising, right? Like that was the worst. But we have 1 stoplight. And so how do you go and solve anything that you set out to do? So some of you this morning are struggling with what that looks like. So I've created some. In order to solve any problem you're faced with, you've got to be able to want a solution bad enough. This is a live video camera, not a live, it's not like happening in Oregon right now. This is a recording of a young child. She's 7 with her grandparents in a gas station, and she wanted a prize that is in the vending machine. So take a look, right? There's the 7-year-old and her sister. I got my mind set on you. And so she saw a prize that she wanted. Right? Here comes Granddad and Grandma. So there goes Granddad. Here comes Grandma. One of my favorite parts. Watch the sister tattle on her. Grandma, she's climbing in the machine. Grandma comes back and says, "Quit your lying, child." Goes outside, doesn't see her, right? Comes back in and says, "No, she's in there." Sees a foot and says, "Granddaddy!" I got my mind set on you. I got my mind set right? On you. I now they've got a problem here. And the problem is the vendor does not have, this is an outside vending company. There is no key, right? So how do you go and get the kid back out of the machine? Now that's one problem. The second problem is the prize the little girl wanted was in the back of the machine. Granddad makes all men proud. He just hides in the corner. Right? I've seen that look before. And so some time is going to elapse. You're going to see a not so flattering view of Grandma, I will warn you. You're also, it's like watching a baby gazelle born. They're going to pull her back out backwards through that machine. Right? And there's the legs. As I said, not the best view of Grandma. I don't know that she wanted this one to go viral. And so she is out, right? Toy in hand, young lady out of the machine. She's out of there, right? And then they're like, we getting out of here, right? They got out fast. But listen to me, just so that you know, what I want to tell you about that is, before I showed you the video, most of us, if you had to lay your money on it, would have said it was impossible to get a kid to go up a 6-inch hole, an 8-inch rectangular metal box, get a toy in the back, go back out feet first, and then come out of it and keep the toy. And I showed it to my wife, and I said, isn't that impossible? And she was like, yeah, because our kids wouldn't have been allowed to keep that toy, right? She'd have made them give it back. That's stealing, right? And so, but anyway, we underestimate the power of a child when they want something bad enough, right? Kids have a way of getting and making anything happen that they want bad enough. And the problem is, as educators, we would rather groan and moan and whine a lot rather than just want it bad enough to fix it. That's yes and thinking, right? Is refusing to accept no. It's the opposite of no but. Some other examples real quick of yes and thinking. What about this? This is the only place in my house that my 4 kids won't follow me. I think yes and thinking is installing a television set. Yes? I can watch a game. I want to sit there till my feet go numb, right? Because it's the only place. Is that not okay in Arkansas? Y'all don't talk like that? That's fine. That's fine. That's how we talk in Kentucky. What about this guy? Yes and thinking. I'm going to give you free tacos to sell your house, right? I love it. That's yes and thinking. What about this? This is a private school water fountain. I've only worked in public schools. That's yes and thinking, right? I'm joking. That lady was cussing private schools. It's all right. I'm a public educator, right? What about this right here? What about you're in a room and you're having this meeting and the meeting says, we've got these trees that are overpowering our power lines on the side of a mountain. I want to be in the meeting when the person proposed this as the solution. It's a 50-foot saw hooked to a helicopter. Right? If that ain't yes and thinking, I don't know what yes and thinking is, right? What about this one right here? You're out flying your $1,000 drone, right? And the drone battery dies. This is yes and thinking, right? What are you going to do, right? Like you've got no solution. You see the drone's power light going and dying down. And I felt like this was awesome. This dude loves his drone maybe more than I love my kids. Take a look at this, right? That's yes and thinking, right? Refusing to accept no for a situation. This one, folks, is from Arkansas and is one of my favorite slides of all time. This, because I've gotten to where I speak down in Arkansas, so people share stuff with me from Arkansas. This person was at a wedding. Have you seen the chocolate fountains, right? That's not a chocolate fountain. That's a sausage gravy fountain. They literally had a stack of biscuits and you stuck the biscuit in the sausage gravy at a wedding. If that's not yes and thinking, I don't know what yes and thinking is, right? Well, it is from Arkansas. Oh, well, I like sausage gravy. I thought it was brilliant. This is, and by the way, these aren't reserved to just, this is the mentality of Eminence. This is a first-year teacher last year, right? She comes to me after a week of school. I said, how's school going? And she said, well, I'm pretty frustrated. And I said, why are you frustrated? She goes, my kids, I have a very high expectation. I said, I know, that's why we hired you. And she said, they keep saying, I can't. And I said, what are you going to do about it? Because that's one of our mottos at Eminence. What are you going to do about it? See a problem, solve a problem. What are you going to do about it? And so she looked at me. She said, I have a really weird idea. And I said, that's also why we hired you, right? And I said, go do it. And she said, well, you're going to get phone calls. I said, I don't mind getting phone calls. And so she went out the next day and they did a funeral service for the words, I can't, right? They gathered up these kids and they had an I can't funeral. They buried it. They did a poetry reading. It was awesome. These are second graders, right? That's not the best part. I was in her room about a month later and a kid said, I can't do this. And she looked at him and the kid said, walked up out of his desk, no communication with the teacher whatsoever, went to the corner of the classroom where they had the I can't tombstone memorial. They had taken a picture of the tombstone and the kid had to pay 5 seconds of memorial to I can't. Went back to his desk. Listen to me, it's a 22-year-old teacher. It was amazing, right? Because they had a yes and solution to it. It's the most positive classroom in the elementary, and right now she has my 4th kid, and she may retire after her 2nd year of education. I don't know. He's the reason we don't have any more, just to be fair. We had the first Wi-Fi school bus in Kentucky. Some people think America, all because of yes and thinking. Our content was online. The kids had a device. They had a 1-hour drive to go to free college. We pay for every student in our district, 70% free and reduced lunch, 20% homeless, every population you should not succeed with, right? And we give them $100,000 worth of free college for every kid, regardless of test scores, right? So we created the Wi-Fi bus. This is a teacher that did a yes and unit. She wanted to make classroom learning more fun. She did a whole math unit on Alice in Numberland, right? It was awesome. This is a spooky science class. How do you make science come alive? This is another class that decided to create, because the family units were kind of down, they created their own family structure in their grade level. That's yes and thinking. Our building is 130 years old. When you say vintage, it's a nice way of saying old, right? And so I'm going to now use vintage. I love it. I have a vintage building. It's a throwback, right? And so the thing is that I'll say, it smells like pee. When you have boys miss for 130 years of school, my granddad went to school there, my great-granddad went to school there, and he told me the boys would line up in the bathroom and see how many blocks high they could pee. That's why it smells bad in there, right? And to be fair, I don't know how that just innately gets passed on, because I did the same thing. And I've never said that in a keynote. I think that's lack of sleep. I apologize to everyone for that. But it smells like pee. So what do? We scent our building. Best $100 I spend a month, we scent it. We want it to be an escape for kids. We want school to be more than school. We want them to believe that there's nothing that they can't accomplish or do. So we put slides in. We put lava tiles, hallways. We make the cafeteria next generation learning labs, right? We sell vending machines with student work. That machine makes $8,000 a year. You know why we do it? Because the money goes totally back to our maker space so that we don't have to keep giving money to the maker space. It's amazing. Next week, there's a vending machine going in. It's our second, and it's just going to have books in it, because so many of our kids don't own books, right? And so the teachers are going to reward the elementary kids with a gold disc where they can go to the office and pick any vending machine book that they want out. It's going to be amazing, right? That's yes and thinking. We have kids lead PD. That's my daughter leading her first PD when she was 7 years old for 3 hours to teachers, right? She was the most shy little backwards kid in the whole world, right? And now she's led teacher development to almost 15,000 teachers on how to authentically embed technology into the classroom, all because of one day, right? One day of yes and thinking. And so this is a 3rd grade classroom where they wanted to make the math lessons come alive. So they started their own business. They did a 501c3. They invented their own organic dog treat. They made over $5,000 in the first month of sales. This is a 3rd grade classroom. Teacher comes back after Christmas break and says, she said, I don't know what to do. She said, I've made $5,000 in my classroom doing these dogs. I said, what do you mean you don't know what to do? You know, the fall festival, you make $100. You're like the gold, you could have like bling on. Like it's insane. And she said, well, I don't know what to do because half the class is tired of making dog treats and we're making so much money that I want to keep making them. And I said, well, what are you going to do about it? And she said, I got an idea. She split the class up with the dog treat people and the other people. They started a second company and they did a Shark Tank style competition. They pitched it to the dog treat people and the dog treat people got to pick the winning idea from the rest of the class. The rest of the class did this new business. They made $2,000 in the first month and the dog treat people were angry at them for not enough return on their investment. It was third graders, right? That's yes and thinking, right? Yes and thinking is doing PDs in the mall. It's having math fraction tests that look like this. It's this little girl getting ticked off. How many of you have ever been on Google Maps, right? This little girl got on Google Maps and she was ticked because her street wasn't on Google Maps. I was shocked that the Google car came to Eminence. Right? Like that was a big deal to me. She was mad that it was not on her street. Look at her street. It's a dead end, right? So she went with 3 other friends, my son being one of them. They made a replica of the Google Mobile, right? And they did a photosphere camera on a weighted tripod and they walked every road in our town, every single road. And we became the first city in Kentucky to be fully uploaded on Google Maps, right? All because of a 5th grader that was angry that her home wasn't on there. They didn't even do it for this. They entered it in the state technology competition, won the whole state. We should retire their backpacks. We don't have state champions in Eminence, just to be fair, right? Like that's not something that happens real regularly. We have tons of things that are going on with robotics. And this kid has 3 TV channels, right? That's it. He doesn't have satellite. He doesn't have dish. He has 3 TV channels. One of them's KET. And as a result of us doing passion-based learning, because we believe in tapping every kid's passion, he discovered a guy that liked to make happy little trees named Bob Ross. This was 9 months ago. Are you ready? He's already doing works that look like this. He learned them all off of KET, watching Bob Ross teach him how to do it. And he just came to me last week. He saw me at McDonald's and he said, would you be my guest host on Facebook Live so that I can show you how to paint? And I was like, yes, I will. He's already got a channel of 1,000 people. It's growing every episode. That's all because of a teacher taking the kids' passion and tapping it into their learning, right? This young man made me want to weep. He's a first-generation American. He studied his family history. He's never met his grandparents. They're not from America. They're from Mexico. And the family recipe was a tamale. And it was the first time in his life that he had been he finally had roots. And it was this 190-year-old tamale recipe. I was bawling as he said, it would be the biggest honor of my life if you would eat one of my tamales. And he said, take one home to Miss Berry. I made her eat it at 8 hours later. That's one cold tamale, right? But it was amazing, this young man's pride as he tapped into his passion. I always have my own passion projects. Last year, I created a window to the world. I have a window built into our school where every day it's a different web camera from around the world. Our kids, most of whom have never left the state of Kentucky, we want them to experience the world. So we have a different location every day. Don't put Times Square on there because people do awful things in front of it. Right? Little warning, but the rest of it's pretty good. This is my passion project from this year. I built an indoor observation beehive for the ecosystem that's going on in the Eminence community. It was awesome. This is one that I'm very proud of as well. Last year, our governor went and said that teachers were soft and that they shouldn't have canceled school due to extreme cold weather, right? And said teachers are sissies and soft. And so a lot of my colleagues around the state were bashing the governor, right? And to be honest with you, that ain't my style. I'm supportive. I don't think it was the best choice of words, right? But I was getting calls. I'm a district of 850. We have districts of 90,000, of 50,000, and they're calling me, right? Because guess what? I get a microphone a lot, right? And I had no desire to be a spokesperson, and I talked to my assistant superintendent. I said, what are we going to do? And I said, let's yes and it a little bit, right? So our response to the controversy that was eating up Kentucky was this.
Temperatures are at an extreme low, and schools across the state of Kentucky have canceled school today due to low temperatures. And many have questioned whether Kentucky educators are soft for calling off schools in low temperatures.
So we decided to go out and prove just how tough educators and teachers are. And so today we're taking the Teacher Tough Challenge. That was brutal, by the way. None of those things make a teacher tough. What makes a teacher tough is the fact that they inspire, they create, they motivate, they change lives.
They come early, they stay late, they spend money out of their own pockets to provide supplies and materials for kids who don't have them. They get kids to believe in themselves before they really see what's possible in their future.
Teachers have some of the toughest jobs in the world, and every day they get up, they do it with very little thanks. And so what we're trying to do is start a movement, #TeacherTough. So why don't you go online to any form of social media, share this video, and tag your stories of all the changes in lives and inspirations that you've made that make your... So listen to me, on that one video, within 5 hours, 10,000 views, we had 6 TV stations in Eminence, and we ended the controversy with one positive video, and there ended up being hundreds of stories of people talking about what a difference teachers have made in their lives. You see, we've got to get yes and solutions back. We've become so polarizing that we want to be irate or anger, or we want to cry or whine. You have the greatest influence over your classrooms. Yes and thinking goes and prescribes learning down to the student level. It asks kids to code and AutoCAD and to grow gardens as they go through school. It allows them to do things that they never dreamed that they could do before in terms of technology, in terms of projects, in terms of apprenticeships, in terms of philanthropy, in terms of their work habits and their work ethics, going to free college, being the first person in their family to graduate, right? Publishing their own books, going and laser cutting the world's first laser cut pumpkin pie, right? This is a whole new industry that I think this kid at Eminence has created, right? What if you were a wedding coordinator and you had the world's first monogram rolls, right? Somebody would pay $8 for a laser cut roll with a B on it, right? What about this? They do their own PSA announcements. They're making new ways to purify water. They build all of their own projects, right? It's amazing to watch what is happening in an environment where you believe anything can happen. And so as I close today, I saw a video recently that inspired me. How many of you have ever heard of Steve Harvey? Some of you may know him as the Family Feud host or another one of the kings of comedy. And so what I would like to do is to share with you this video of Steve Harvey as we close.
Okay, I said no surprises. Sorry? That's what you're saying to me, Alex? Sorry? Okay, this is a surprise calling in via satellite from Orlando. Let's see who it is.
Hi, Steve. This is Rich List from Orlando, Florida, and I called you to wish you a happy birthday and ask you one question. Do you still love me, baby? I'm waiting for my answer, buddy.
Hey, man. I love you, man.
I love you too, man. Yeah. You want to say hi to your girlfriend?
Who, Becky there?
Yeah?
Hey, man.
Say hi.
Hey, Becky.
Hi, Steve.
Jesus.
We love you, buddy.
These people.
We wish you the best happy birthday.
I was 26 years old, man. I was struggling. I didn't have nothing. And these people owned the furniture store in Cleveland. And they took me in and gave me my first contract with my little carpet cleaning company. When I became a comedian at 27, I didn't have money to travel. They gave me an account at their travel agency. And man, I ran up a bill like $11,000 just trying to travel and make it. Them people right there. You know, man, they helped me out. Hey, man, I got money now, Rich.
You got money?
Matter of fact, hey, Rich, I'm gonna send a plane to pick up you and Becky. I'm gonna fly y'all to Chicago for the show. I've been looking for you for years, man.
You found me, babe. All right.
Have a great birthday, Steve.
Have a great birthday.
Thank you. I want to say, hey, man,
What?
you bailed me, man. I never forgot it. Thank you, man.
Okay. We love you.
We love you, Steve.
I love y'all too, man. All right, I didn't need you.
Bye-bye.
As we close today, I want to tell you the ultimate yes and story in my life. Her name is Miss Floyd. Miss Floyd was a fourth grade teacher at Eminence schools. I was one of Miss Floyd's students. And the better you were in school 25 years ago, 30 years ago, the less classes you had to take. And so I got to be a student aide for Miss Floyd's fourth grade class. And so they sent me down and I had all my stuff and I thought, well, I'm going to sit down and do my homework. And the first day that I got in there, I'm sitting in the back of the room and I went to do my homework. She said, no, sir, not in here. You see, she was the ultimate yes and teacher. I said, well, I'm an aide in here. And she goes, yes, you are. And everybody in my room is a teacher and you are going to be a teacher. And she made me teach every single day in that classroom for a year. You see, she saw something in me. All I ever wanted to be was a construction worker, an engineer, right? I wanted to grow up and to be in my family's business of building foundations and buildings. And this lady saw something in me. But you see, what Miss Floyd didn't know was, did you hear what Steve Harvey said? He said, these people bet on me. You see, Miss Floyd bet on me. My football coach bet on me. Dr. Steve Fromeyer, I was a 135-pound center and middle linebacker. He bet on me, right? And you see, the thing that I will tell you about that is that they didn't know this, but at my house, beginning when I was 8 years old, you see, what happened was I had a dad that was a total alcoholic. He was a school board member at Eminence School. He lived two lives. He had one life that the public saw, and then he had another life that by 6 o'clock every night, he was stone cold drunk. I had to go and put his pajamas on him, brush his teeth, change his contacts out. I had to help my mom be Santa Claus every Christmas. I was the head-based softball coach of my sister's softball team when I was 14 years old so that she would have a man in her life, right? Like I did not grow up the life that my school teachers thought I had. They thought, Buddy doesn't have any problems. He's a middle-class white kid. He's fine. So they didn't, except for people like Miss Floyd. You see, she always looked to bet on people. She always looked at what they could be, not what they were. You see, if you want to start with a yes and philosophy, start by going back to your school. Look at every kid as a life whose world is ready to be changed. And I don't care if they've got all the money in the world or they've got nothing in the world. They're worth betting on this school year. They're worth seeing not only what they are, but what they can be. If one world can be totally different because you're in it, then that's the ultimate in yes and thinking. Go out and be a changer of worlds. God bless you guys.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Yeah, there's nothing I could say to follow that up. That was incredible. And what I want to say is we have an incredible day planned for you. We want you to take the spirit of this morning into your learning for the rest of the day. We have First Lady Hutchinson is going to be meeting and greeting in the room for musology. That's room 104 and 105, and you can head over there and say hello. And we also have Ronnie Brewer is here to, as you're heading out the door, you can say hello and meet and greet as well. And we'll see you back at lunchtime, but have some great learning between now and then. Thank you so much.